All right, welcome to another Bragging Rights. Today I'm going to showcase a set of updates for my original Saga Warband, which is a generic kind of early Dark Ages, late Antiquity, Black Sea region force that in the future is likely to be a Dacian/Sarmatian force for the upcoming Age of Caesars book. But for now, I use with the Last Romans set of rules. It's not meant to be historically accurate. It's meant to just kind of be a themed list for Saga, and I see that a lot within Saga is folks taking a lot of extra liberties where you might not take with some other historic games. So we have here a banner for my archers. I've found that the Last Roman archers just operate really well when you take max size unit and throw a banner in. It doesn't affect the number of shots typically. They don't get engaged in a lot of combat, so it's not going to hurt you too much from a close combat perspective. And that pulling off of fatigue is just so important because you really want to activate that unit twice per turn, if not more sometimes. We've got 6 more Javelin Levy. For the Javelin Levy, I've used the Victrix Germanic kit with some Celt heads as well. Now the head choices were not because I wanted kind of stiff, limed up hair for these guys. It's because I wanted to visually distinguish my 3 groups of 6 levy so that I can immediately tell them apart in case I want to field them in groups of 6. I also use shield color to do this as well, so it's still visually appealing and my opponent can also tell. I do this with all my units in Saga. It's takes away from historical accuracy, obviously, but just makes it a little more playable for me. On the basing, I did my typical, for this force, Vallejo basing gel. In this case, it's the thick gray pumice. I forget exactly what it's called. But then I go over that with a sepia wash, as well as a mix of desert yellow and skeleton bone, and then dry brush it skeleton bone and add some Dejima 1 flocks. Little Big Man Studios transfers on these, with the exception of we have an Irish Dark Age buckler there with a relic waterslide transfer. Okay, some more units that I've painted, and please go back and check my old video of my Saga Warband if you want to check out the rest of the force. This is just an update video for the new stuff. So we have here my Hearthguard Cavalry, which were a long time in coming. I only previously had painted Great Weapon Warriors for my Hearthguard, and really no options to swap anything out in this army. So I wanted to have options to swap things out, and this is in particular because we started a casual, not quite casual, semi-competitive Saga League here in the Northeast with my gaming club, and it's been really awesome. And we, sometimes we'll have 4 different tables, or almost every time actually, we've had 4 different tables of Saga going at the same time all day long at the club, and it's been really cool. And as part of that, I've wanted to paint something a little extra each time we've played. So one of the first things on the docket was making sure I have a swappable Hearthguard unit. So these guys are pretty cool when I need a lot of mobility or when I need to hit something kind of turn 1. Now, when I prime these, unfortunately, one of the many Amazon primer scams hit me where I was sent a mislabeled product that had, had been packaged and sold as if it was contrast paint primer, but it wasn't. And on top of that, it had to have been, 10 or 15 years old. And even on a low humidity day, it fuzzed out all the stuff that I primed, which is really a bummer. This one kind of really shows it off, especially. I tried to sand it off where I could, but I didn't want to go through the process of stripping down a lot of models, and just said, hey, I'll live with this. This is really just a fun army for club games anyway. I also, it had been so long since I had done a transfer that I forgot that the transfers from Little Big Man Studios only work on a white background. Now, you can't see it, but this whole banner has a transfer over it from Little Big Man Studios. You can't see any bit of it because I had already painted red underneath, and it can't be seen through the red. So I painted just a freehand white kind of lion's head over it instead. Certainly doesn't look like a lion's head. I don't know what it looks like now, but I'm not too worried. Now, these guys again are late antiquity, early dark ages, kind of generic Black Sea guys. Obviously really meant to slant towards the Dacian look. I used the Victrix Dacian kit. I also used warlord heads that I had. I have some Victrix parts in here as well from their Greek line. The capes and the bodies and the horses are from the Macedonian companion cavalry. I used some pill bases from Sarissa, magnets from Litko. And the shield transfers are from the Dacian shield transfers. Visually wanted this to be cohesive with my army, but again, not really super bothered by historical kind of perfection on this. I did continue my trend, and you see here some reactivation on this cape. Hey man, I really hate reactivation. You can see here that I've continued my trend of including blue and yellow in most of my hobby projects, for probably obvious reasons to anybody who sees those colors together. Okay, so this allows me to bring my Hearthguard out at 6 because I've got 6 levy, half a point, and I've got 2 Hearthguard worth half a point. So I can swap my normal 2 points of Hearthguard, which is 8 guys with great weapons, for 6 horses and 6 javelin levy, which is the way I am starting to do it as a standard. I do plan to paint up a group of composite bow horsemen to go with this. I'm going to use the Victrix kit. I haven't purchased it yet. I'm in no particular rush to, because I do kind of want to see whether or not composite bow warriors are part of the Sarmatian Dacian forces for Age of Caesar. But I do plan to add those to this as well, and I think that Victrix kit looks cohesive with this overall, especially if I use some Dacian heads. I did up some objective markers for the campaign. We get a point for having objective markers, so I thought, hey, let's have some themed ones. These are just kind of various amphora. I got these from a online seller as a small storefront. I'm actually forgetting it right now. These are fine, little overpriced. I think it's a Polish company. It takes a long time to arrive. I think they're 3D prints, just based on the look of them, but they work fine. They really do. And I used some rocks from a little gravel kit I purchased on Amazon. All right, just a couple more things. I've showed this guy before, but I want to show him again just because I like him so much. Warlord on foot. Today, not usable in my last Roman board, because warlords have to be mounted, but I'm hoping this is going to be my Dacian warlord. Here's to hoping. And finally, I have my baggage trains. So we have here sheep and a shepherd. This is just some Dacian bits that I had lying around. Wanted to make a peasant type guy. Some sheep. Okay. Mission accomplished, I think. I purchased a Crusader army, and in that came a lot of musicians. I took one of those musicians, ripped it off, put it on here. There's some sheep getting woken up, getting ready to hit the baggage train. And then finally, we have, oops, I just kind of knocked a guy off his ankles. We'll have to fix that later. Here I have, again, some more sheep. And this time I've included a little nativity scene guy from Reaper Miniatures and his trusty little sheep. The rest of these are from Reconquer Designs. I think that's the name of the company, Reconquer. They do a great El Cid era set of miniatures. The sheep were the first thing I purchased for them. I might get some stuff from them in the future, but for now we just got sheep. I like the way the basing came out here. Now what I did is I took the Vallejo basing gel and I mixed in more sand and grit, and then I used cork here and there, like you see here there, to add rocks and sections. And Tajima 1, obviously, just like I do with all my stuff for the tufts. Overall, I like the way, some reactivation, bummer. Overall, I like the way that it came out, just for a quick and easy job. The basing was a real pain to do because that basing gel does not want to spread when you add more grit to it. It goes from like a nice thin whipped kind of feel as you spread it out, kind of like, I don't know, consistency of a little thicker than cold Cool Whip, right? Which is a weird reference. But when you add that grit, it makes it pretty tough to apply, and you have to go over sections multiple times. So while I do like the way it looks, I don't think I'm going to be doing it on bases for the rest of this army. All right, well, that's it for updates for my Saga Last Romans. Probably have one more update video as I add a few hero options to this, and I add in the composite bow Hearthguard to really finish out my Last Roman collection before the Age of Caesars books comes out, when I'll add a whole lot of new stuff. All right, thanks. Have a great week.